So I suggested to make this presentation because I noticed that there seem to be some changes in Russia now about community. So from my viewpoint, it seems that only some even months ago or years ago there was not much community here. That was more private interests or company interests, and now I see that in St. Petersburg and also in Moscow some activities are starting to create and to grow the community. And this is why I came to give a presentation about that. And also Dries, who invented Drupal, recently said that it's really the Drupal community that's important, so it can make more sense to foster the community because it's the community that really makes what Drupal is, not so much the code base. I think he's very right about this. If we did not cooperate and work together and did not have a lot of interaction and exchange, we would not be where we are. And Drupal would not be what it is. So, just to introduce myself shortly, I have been a freelancer for almost 30 years, or around 30 years now. Yes, I'm old. So in the last few years, I specialized on Drupal. Can you hear me? Or should I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I specialized on Drupal. So I studied system sciences at the Open University, and I put my focus on self-organizing systems in my studies. And communities are one form of self-organizing systems, just as virtual companies are another form of self-organizing systems, and we have many self-organizing systems in nature. So this was my specialization, and I'm the organizer of the Munich Drupal user group, so I organize the events and try to make things going. I organize code sprints and things like that in the Munich community. So this was about me, about you. You are probably here because you think that you can profit somehow from Drupal. Otherwise you would not come. And I think we all profit from Drupal, or we can all profit from Drupal. So it's a way of empowerment. And there are many ways and many scales how Drupal empowers us. Just to give a few examples. So this is a website of a woman who has a drumming school in Munich. It's a single person, and she has a Drupal website. I spoke with her a few months ago, and she said her Drupal website enables her to make a living with a drumming school. Drumming school is not really big business. It's difficult to survive with a drumming school, and Drupal helps her to survive with this drumming school. There are medium-sized organizations like this classical art network that you can see here. So it's also a rather narrow market, but it's a worldwide target audience. You have a few classical artists, and you have a few opera houses and theaters for classical music. So it's important for them to reach out to the world, even though they can only be a small or medium-sized organization. Drupal also empowers them. Large companies can save budget, so they became more viable by using Drupal, by creating websites with less cost. Governmental organizations do it too. They save budget and they free resources with Drupal, which they can spend on other things, on other obligations they have. And of course, many of us are empowered through Drupal. We can feed ourselves and our families. with Drupal, without Drupal, we could not do this. And just to give a personal example, the last around 1.5 years, I have worked for a Russian company, Dauria Aerospace. It's located not too far from here. They build small satellites. Because they are so small, they are low-cost satellites. They make them from available parts. They do not invent everything. And because they are so small, it's inexpensive to shoot them in space and to bring them in an orbit around Earth. And this way they can collect geographic data about the Earth much cheaper than it was possible. And they asked me to build a web store for them with Drupal, where they can sell the data they collect from the satellite circling the Earth. Without Drupal, I could not have done this. So, you see, you have this on many scales and in many different variations where Drupal helps us to be what we want to be. And the question is then, how did Drupal become what it is? It's made by us, and it's made by volunteers. Here you see conferences and pictures from code sprints. So this was in Szeged this year. This was in Donetsk in April. So Drupal is popularized, made better known by us, and we build it. And we build the core, and we build the modules. This is
the modules.
Yes, contribute modules. So if you write a module for Drupal, you can upload it on Drupal.org and publish it. So and if you do this, of course, other people can use it, and you become more popular. So it's a kind of exchange. If you create a module which you publish, your name is there, and people can see, oh, he's able to do this. Maybe I call him and hire him. So this is how I get my assignments as a Drupal freelancer. I do things like this. Then people see me on the internet and they contact me, or I publish things, modules, and I get a better reputation, and people see that I'm able to do certain things and contact me to hire me. And just to take a closer look on how this really works in detail, this process of Drupal becoming this powerful tool for us. But I just want to go through the steps that follow on each other, how this works. So first, Drupal became open source. So from Drupal being open source, it was possible that a community grew around it. Without this, no community would grow. So after the community grows, people can take it and enhance the Drupal core. They can build modules for Drupal, and they can provide support for Drupal. So this means Drupal becomes even more powerful than it was when it was first published. From this follows that Drupal has more installations, more funds become available, the more installations it has and the more powerful it becomes. And from that comes that the community grows again, because more people use it, more people spend money for it, so the community can grow again. And you can see a positive feedback loop here. This is a circle that comes into motion, that makes itself stronger and stronger all the time.
Storm, like a storm.
Yes, actually it can be.
Grows and big, highs.
Yes. Actually, it's very similar to some natural phenomena like this, where you have positive feedback loops where things strengthen themselves, which when things happen, they make themselves stronger. then if you get into such a circle, things can become very powerful very fast.
This is natural, yeah.
Yes, but this is a social system, and it does not really make such a big difference if something is a so-called natural or a social system. They follow the same mechanics. So actually a social system for me is not really a not natural system. They are all systems, and social systems are one expression of nature, because we come from nature.
Yeah, that's
So
why step by step, but yeah, there's a question, there's the answers. It's like must be together, like plus and minus. Oh, it looks like maybe it looks like the same because, for example, we have situation in the whole world, yeah, about the war, USA, and Russia, and many countries.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them they said, this is the one ring. If they have problem, we have a problem too.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
That's why it's up.
This
Plus
is
without minus cannot.
Mm-hmm.
It's minus, everybody die.
Yes. So all these things are connected, and
Connect
and
together.
all these parts of systems influence each other. And every time you have a situation where when something becomes stronger, the next thing becomes stronger, and there is a feedback that makes the same thing that caused it stronger again, then you have one of these loops that grow stronger and faster very fast. If you have the opposite, if you have a situation where this makes this weaker and this makes this stronger, then you have a self-regulating system that does not grow or decline very fast. But this is a little system science, the basics of system science, which I studied.
It's good.
So, okay, let's go. So this was an example of how it worked with Drupal and how it worked with other open source systems like Linux.
Sorry.
So in Linux it was more or less the same, and Mozilla and other large Apache, other large open source systems. The question is there a universal principle behind this? Not just a certain example, is there a simple universal principle behind this? And I think yes. So if you create something that's really helpful to people, and you create a self-organizing structure, like where people can take it and profit themselves and contribute and decide themselves what they want to contribute, then people will begin to contribute if it's really helpful to them. So you have this two conditions, so to allow people to contribute. And here you see again, you begin to have a positive feedback loop on this side. So when people contribute, they create more of this helpful thing, and this causes more people to contribute because it becomes better over time. And there's a second positive feedback loop, because people do not only contribute to the original tool, in our case Drupal, they also begin to contribute to the organization, like we are doing now.
By themselves.
Yes, so we are here because probably Andre decided it's a good idea, so he was free to contribute, because this is a self-organizing structure. He has the freedom to organize a Drupal camp if he wants one. And he probably asked, he could not have done this alone, he probably asked people, can you help me? And this thing came into existence, and also here, because the Drupal camp is also helpful. It helps us to understand more about Drupal, how we can use it, how we can earn our income with it, how we can become more powerful sending out our own ideas and messages.
How can we be stronger than now? in the future.
I will come to that. I will come. Now I'm just trying to explain the general principles, and I will go to more detail how this is applied in real life. So and just here you have the same situation. It works on different scales. It works with the whole Drupal. It works with this camp. It works with local user groups. It works with single modules. So this works on the same thing as at work at very different scales. Have a question? Yeah?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. So, but you have mainly two prerequisites. Something like this is only possible if you fulfill two conditions. So the one is people must have a certain trust.
Yes, first.
That
Trust.
there is no misuse. So to go back to this, people will not contribute if they think if they bring something into this, it will be taken away from them, and somebody will take only personal use. So there must be certain trust that it is used for something positive, and they must care about it. If you do this with something nobody's interested in, of course you go nowhere. In Drupal, people care about it because they can express themselves with it and they can earn an income with it, so they care about it. This is the second prerequisite. If you ever see a self-organizing system that's really dynamic, you will see that there's always big trust and big caring in this community. Just to give some examples how we do this in Munich, how these principles are expressed in real life in Munich. So we do around 6 so-called LAN parties every year. So this is around every second month, sometimes we do it monthly. So at our so-called LAN parties we meet, we bring our computers, we work on our own projects. But if somebody has a question or runs into a problem, we start to help each other. So we create an atmosphere that's supportive for everybody on every skill level. But just ask if you're interested. I do not want just to throw everything at you. If you have questions, just ask.
So this is a good practice only in case if everyone contributes. For example, being a junior web developer, I now need some advice from my senior partner. And then when I grow up, when I gain more experience, then I must and I have to, and I must want to contribute myself. So in your LAN parties, this is always as I have described.
Sorry, say the last sentence again. At our LAN parties?
During our your LAN parties, does the process run smoothly as I have described?
Yes, normally yes, because we understand that people who are very new and only need help and cannot contribute will probably stay with the group if they make a positive experience, and after some time they can help others. So this was the same with me when I joined the Munich user group around 7 years ago or so. I had no idea about this, but they were completely willing to help me without asking anything back. And now the things have changed, so now I help the group. I contribute and other people are coming. So if you follow this principle, of course it will not work with everybody, but some people will always stay and give something back to it, and I saw this happen very often.
So I just meant that there must be a certain percent of people who are willing to contribute.
Yes, yes, of course.
I believe that there must have been some fallout when one comes when one is trained, and then for some reason when one leaves the community.
Yes, of course, this happens all the time. But there are enough people there who stay and keep contributing. It's no problem. So we don't really worry about this. We just do it and it works. We just keep doing it, and there are always enough people there who are willing to keep contributing, because they understand if they do this, they earn a better reputation, and it will come back to them. Okay. So the next thing is we have monthly user group meetings where we share our knowledge about Drupal.
Monthly?
Yes, we do it every month. So we have a monthly user group meeting, and we have, on top of that, we have around 6 LAN parties every year, which means around 18 regular meetings per year. And at this user group meetings, we do not do practical work, but we share our knowledge about Drupal. And of course, if somebody made an interesting development, we show it. We show what we did. So people will learn from us, but at the same time, we also earn reputation, because when the others see, oh, he can do this, next time I need something like that, I come and ask him. And also, when people do professional work, they ask others from the community. I also do this with work for Dauria Aerospace. So if I just have too much work, if there's too much to do, which needs to be ready at a certain point of time, or if something is necessary which I personally cannot do because I do not have the detailed knowledge in some certain area, I just go and ask others from the community. And it also happens the other way, so it's a kind of exchange. And of course not everybody contributes. We have a few people who always only take and never give back, but it's not really a problem. You still get the reputation, and you always have enough people who are willing to contribute if you create such an atmosphere. But this is the important point, that you create such an atmosphere of trust and caring for each other, and create a social interchange too. So another thing is we have our own Skype group. This Skype group, Drupal Munich, where we chat if someone needs help and there is no LAN party around. we can always ask each other, does anyone have experience with this and that? And if somebody is
some chat here.
Yeah, very good.
And in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, there are chat like this.
So what is your experience with it? Does it work well, or?
In Moscow not work well. In St. Petersburg, too much more.
So how have you? Oh wow. Okay, I started later. Yes, it's also a cultural thing. In some areas, people are more ready to help than in others. I also will come to that.
No much attendees who wants to help.
Yes, but if you are able to create such a circle, there will be more attendance.
I agree with you. We hope it will be more after this conference.
Yes, you had a lot of people here. There's a good chance that it works.
Russia is so different. Russia is a different market in from commercial point of view. Russia is a different mentality. Russia is something different from Europe. And that's why this willing to help without being paid is something that we have to promote and even to push. Well, let's hope we succeed.
I think once people make the experience that it pays back to them sooner or later, they will have more readiness to contribute and to have the patience that later it will come back to them. Is my experience.
That's a matter of reputation. In Europe, as far as I know, reputation is much more valuable than in Russia. Maybe we will come to this very understanding, but still there might be some problems arguing that this circle, this loop you have shown us really makes the life of every single member of the community better.
Yes, of course. This is a slow process. When people begin to make this experience, and they can make this experience by contributing to a conference like this, or by becoming better known, by publishing things, they will, with a certain time going on, they will develop a better understanding for this, I think. So I will also look at this a little later in a little more detail, if I have enough time. Maybe we have to do a little longer if that is possible. I will see. So, and you? 5 more minutes?
5 minutes, please.
Okay, we'll see. So another new attempt we are making now is to collaborate commercially so that freelancers begin to work together. And because sometimes freelancers have too much work, sometimes they do not have enough work. When they have too much work, they just say no to customers and send them away, and others could need this work at the same time. And later the roles change. The one who sends customers away needs work. And if we work together, we can improve this situation for everybody. So this is what we are setting up right now. And I will do a presentation about, no, not a presentation, I will do a workshop tomorrow about exactly this topic and how we want to do it. But I also will try to collect some feedback from freelancers. So, and I think Munich is quite successful, was economically successful, because we have this supportive system in our Drupal group. So you might know Wunderkraut, it's very famous in Western Europe, and I think also, so it's the second largest Drupal shop on planet Earth, after Acquia. And Acquia is the Drupal shop of Dries, who invented Drupal, and the company Wunderkraut has its origins in Munich. So 4 people from Munich, from the Munich community, decided to make Wunderkraut around, I think it was around 4 years ago. So they became successful quite fast. And then they joined forces with 3 already existing companies. But the origin of Wunderkraut is the Munich community, when 4 freelancers just decided we want to work together now. And again, I want to take a look at the connections between active communities and higher rates of economic success. So if you have community activities, this community creates support, and it also makes presentations about Drupal. And this leads, on the one hand, to a better personal reputation, and it also makes Drupal better known. And from that comes that there are more Drupal sites, and more experts are hired. And of course, especially those people who have the better personal reputation, because they are easier to find. It's very simple. If you have a better reputation, you are easier to find. If you Google Drupal Munich, I will be one of the people who are easiest to find, because I do a lot in the community. It's not, I'm such a genius, it's just because I create visibility for myself in ways like this. So when there are more experts hired, more code is written. If there's from more code, there's even more expertise because you gain experience. And if you have more code, you can also contribute more code, which also leads to a better personal reputation again. And you can see this positive feedback loops again. There's one around here, there's one here, and there's one here. So you see, this is a very powerful thing. So you have 3 self-strengthening feedback loops in such a context. So now I come to the cultural differences. I was in Donetsk early this year, in April, to speak about this geodata system I made. And already at this time there was a big problem in Donetsk. It has become much worse now, but in April there was already some trouble going on. So these are self-taken pictures, they are not from the media. This was at the time I was there for the Drupal camp. And you see these guys running around. You see me among them. This is how they fortified this building. Now it seems to be a real war, but at this time the situation was already critical, but still not very dangerous. And in the middle of that they did a Drupal camp. And they do regular meetings, they do code sprints. In spite of this situation, they are still willing to contribute a lot. And when I spoke to people there and asked, don't you compete with each other sometimes? So one guy gave me the answer, compete? No, why? There's enough for everybody. Do not have to compete. If we work together, it's much easier. There's enough work for all of us to earn our income if we do this. And you see some quite successful Drupal shops in the Ukraine. So those two are not really from the East Ukraine now. They are more from the West Ukraine, but it works generally like this in the Ukraine. So in St. Petersburg, the situation is a bit different. So in July, I was in St. Petersburg at the camp, and I do not see so many successful Drupal shops there, but things begin to grow. There are first activities to create regular meetings, to create regular support and activities, and they even are building their own community site because they are not happy about Drupal.ru. It seems that the atmosphere at Drupal.ru is very aggressive and not helpful. So
change it.
Yes.
Not use right now.
Yes. And they are taking an initiative to actually change this. So, and when I asked Konstantin, he's also here, I saw him. When I asked Konstantin if he can see a relation between this beginning activities and the economic success of local people, he also tells me yes, there's a certain connection. It's not a big thing yet because it's pretty new, but they are growing in both respects, in the community and in their financial success. So now I come to you. I was here a few years ago, and there was the Drupal camp in VDNK. There was this lady. This is not really a quotation from this lady. I just put her there because she's beautiful to look at. But I spoke with several people there, and the general atmosphere was, for example, when I asked them in their presentation, you spoke about the module you made. Where can I look at this module? And they looked at me funny and said, "What do you mean, look at my module? Yes, can I download it somewhere? I don't upload modules. Somebody could steal my code." So this was the general attitude there. So this means there is a lack of trust. I spoke about trust before, and there is no trust, or there was no trust. It seems to be a beginning now, but they just did not cooperate. Everybody distrusted everybody, and this led to the really, for my feeling, pretty bizarre situation that Moskowitz discontinued doing Drupal camps, and that people from the Ukraine jumped in. You have a city of 14 million people, and you could not agree. You must be careful now. You can again, but you
but
could
here's
not.
fresh blood.
You could not agree.
Maybe he can.
Yes, he can now. So he's getting the process started again, which I find a very positive development. So. In the beginning, I said that I see some changes occurring now, and that the fact that we can be here now is one of them, and that it's not Ukrainians that have to come here to organize it. So maybe this is one positive aspect of the current crisis, that the Ukrainians refuse to come here now, and now
It makes sense. At least.
Okay. So how can you keep growing then, now that you started doing this is the question. So let's take a look at what motivates people to cooperate, like these guys, or what makes people free ride, which means only take and never give back, like these guys. So now I come to the cultural things. I hear today already, I think it was 2 or 3 times, when people said here in Russia, it's different, it does not work here. But I think you have 2 major ways how societies work. If you go to India, everything is cooperation and harmony. If you go to an Indian software company or Drupal shop, you see people sitting in front of one screen in groups and discussing how they should code a certain thing, which is more or less unthinkable for us. We just would not do this. But so there's a lot of co-creation, but on the other hand, there is no incentive to be better than others, to really push forward. So there is also a way of free riding in such a context, which means people lean back and wait for others to contribute. If I cannot stand out, why should I care? Why should I become very active and drive things forward? Maybe somebody else will do it. And in this country, you probably know this place. You have the opposite. So in some societies, like I think here in Russia, you have a very competitive society, but Drupal would never have come into existence in such a situation. So a communality is not created, or it dies away fast. And the way people free ride here is they only take but do not contribute. But you see, both systems are not, by themselves, are not really very effective. So if you have a hybrid between competition and cooperation, then you go forward. This is a very good example of this, because there was, during the Soviet Union time, there was the space race, and at the same time, at least in the 80s, there was cooperation in space between the Russians and the US. And there's never been a time when space exploration was more successful and went faster forward and developed faster than at this time. Now, not much is happening anymore. That this hybrid has more or less ceased, because the US do not even have spaceships anymore which they can shoot at. And you can create the same situation in Drupal. We have the same situation in Drupal already. So when people contribute on Drupal.org, of course this is an act of cooperation, but at the same time it's an act of competition because they want to stand out, they want to be seen, they want to be more visible than others so that they become higher than not the other guy. Question?
Yeah. Do you think maybe a language barrier makes Russian community not contributable?
I don't think so. I think it's rather this. I think
no
it's rather this
competition.
societal thing where people are more competitive than cooperative, because you can learn foreign languages, or Russia is large enough to create your own infrastructure. So if you are able to get to a point where you have a good balance between cooperation and competition, which can be practically done. Maybe this sounds very theoretical now, but if you can come to a point like on websites, in a local community where you have a healthy balance of this cooperation and competition, you can go very far.
Need time.
Yes, of course it takes time to get into such a situation. Will change the minds of people over time, but this is never a very fast process.
Sorry, Martin, we have no time.
Oh, too bad, because now I wanted to come to some practical things how you can do this.
So we,
Okay.
we should close.
Tomorrow.
But
It's very
continue discussion. Discussing community is very hot topic today.
Yes.
So we can continue in outside.
Yes.
If you
Invite me
can
to
sit
come.
outside like Indian people and like this.